Hickok 45 here, your internet shooting companion. I know I'm not going to shoot you. Yes, here in Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, the home of, well, my gosh, all kinds of people. Alvin York, Davy Crockett, Elvis Presley. So many people lived here. And we're not born here. Johnny Cash, many others, but lived here a long time and maybe became famous here. And we think of them as Tennesseans. We claim them. How's that? But anyway, it's a beautiful summerish fall day. I'm in the woods yakking at you again. I never learn, do I? A couple of you keep listening, so I just keep yakking. Okay? Nothing like meaningless jabber. A lot of that these days going around, actually. I really should not be contributing to the meaningless jabber, in the media. If this is media. Is this media? No, I don't know. What am I going to talk about? Probably whatever comes to my brain. Yeah, really. Probably. Pretty much evidence that that's going to happen right after about 12 years of this. And some of you have been with us since the beginning. Yeah. So I'll talk about my teeth, the progress, the diet again. I didn't elaborate on my diet very much in the last one, and I've had a lot of questions about that. How I did it and different things, and how I'm doing it. I'm still in process really with I'll say diet just for lack of a better term right now. So I want to talk about that. Some things I'll be attending lately. I don't know if it really affects many of you unless you're in Tennessee. I'm going to be at the Tennessee Firearms Association event this coming Saturday. In fact, I think the 5th of October. So helping sponsor that, will be there, and hope to see anybody that's a member, anybody that shows up there. I guess you have to be a member. I don't know. I've supported them for a long time. I just don't go to a lot of the meetings and that kind of thing. But they do a lot of good work here in Tennessee. You really want to support your local organizations if you possibly can, unless they're just totally useless or corrupt or something, and then branch out with the national organizations. And whatever you think, who knows what's going on with the NRA now. Again, we're not going to accept them as, or any gun rights organization, as a sponsor ever again. But I know you should never say never, but that's our position. And make your own decisions, on all that. But do what you can, financially, and then all the other ways, of course, too. Communication, writing, talking to your political leaders and everything. Now I'm going to get into a little more of that. What else am I going to talk about? I'm going to talk about, how I bribe myself in terms of my diet. Get into that. And you're looking at some of the evidence right here. I have a little more evidence. And politics, gun control, some of the crazy stuff going on there, and gun choices, the difficulty in making a choice on firearms, and some of the new stuff there. So we'll get into a little bit of that. How about that? And then before I go too far, I do want to remind you, before I start rambling off into who knows where, we're in an election season. And if you own a gun, or you think you're going to own a gun, you think you'll ever want to own a firearm, then you need to be political to a point. I see comments pretty often and get messages where people say, well, thank you, Hickok, for not being so political all the time and all that kind of thing. And thanks for actually talking about firearms and trying to educate us on firearms, whatever. And I answer, and you can probably see some of those answers in comments, say, we mainly stick to firearms, but if you own a gun, you're going to own a gun, you think you'll ever might want to own a gun or shoot, then you are political. It is a political world, unfortunately, and politics get into it. So you need to be active politically if you want to keep the gun that you have. If you want to keep the guns that you're going to buy, maybe you're 15, you don't have a firearm yet, but you really want to get into the hobby, well, just be aware you need to be political to a point, okay? You don't have to walk around spouting Second Amendment stuff to every person you you meet and do 1,000 videos a day on the Second Amendment, but you need to make sure you vote and that you are talking to your politicians and you're setting a good example for the sport, you're being responsible when you're at the range or you're not at the range. If you're at a friend's house and he or she pulls out a firearm, or their parents pull out a firearm and show, or whatever, each of us, it's incumbent upon each of us to set the example, and sometimes, quite frankly, be the adult in the room, even if you're 15. I know John's told me stories even when he was, 10, 12, 13, where maybe a gun was brought out at a friend's place or somewhere, and nobody shot anybody, or it was terribly reckless, but some reckless gun handling, muzzle discipline, some things like that, not being observed. So all those things fall under the hobby, the endeavor. Okay, so be responsible, be the adult. Okay, sometimes you have to, even if you offend somebody. It beats. A lot of people just don't know. They don't know. Here I'm going off on a tangent again already, but they grew up on a farm. Maybe dad had a gun, grandpa had a gun. They went out hunting with. They've never been in a formal situation. They've never been to a shooting range, read a book, or hardly anything on firearms. They just know they enjoy shooting that 22 and going hunting with that shotgun or whatever. Of course, nowadays there's fewer and fewer people who have not taken the hunter safety course, which is required, I think, in most states. Just about anybody now, if you're a certain age, to get a license. But I guess I know in Tennessee, most people take that now. Young people have to, I think. And they go over all those safety rules and stress that kind of thing. But there's a lot of people out there, maybe older people especially, who just, they haven't shot anybody. What do you mean, muzzle? Gun's not loaded. Don't tell me what to do. I know if the damn gun's loaded. Well, point it where I want to. There's still some of that out there. So anyway, but you have to be political to a point, keep up with politics, keep up with what's going on. It's a great excuse, a great reason, if you needed one, to keep up with politics, really. Because I didn't keep up with politics much when I was in my teens, even early 20s, and I couldn't have expounded very deeply on the difference between a Democrat and a Republican, and I had no idea what a libertarian was till I was about 30. So I was not really aware, as aware as I should have been. Of course, it wasn't as important at the time regarding gun rights, but our gun rights were not. The Second Amendment was not under threat as much back then as it is now. So anyway, it's a good reason, if you needed one, to really be aware of where the politicians in your district, your area, your state, your country stand on firearms and Second Amendment and all that, and really, really know where they stand. Okay? Don't be fooled by what you hear. Oh my gosh. If I had a nickel for every time I hear a politician talk about, we're not going to take your guns. Every American has a right to have a firearm for self-defense, and they talk. I support the Second Amendment. No one's going to take your firearms away. Everybody has a right to hunt and to self-defense and da. And yeah, that doesn't tell me anything about where you stand. It might be this rifle single shot, which I'll talk about, is the only rifle you think I should be able to have for self-defense or to hunt with. Yeah, so that doesn't tell me anything. The purpose of the Second Amendment was to prevent us from ever being at the mercy of tyrants, which had just happened, with England. So that was the mindset. That's what was going on. And people like to misinterpret the Second Amendment. It had nothing to do with government militias, Oh, I wish they had worded some of that differently. But for the times, everybody was in the militia. We were all the militia, and that well regulated. Oh my gosh, the times I hear people bring that up, mainly the gun banners, well, it even says in the Second Amendment, well, regulated. That was a common term of the day. All that meant was be well prepared and trained, your firearms in good working order and all that. That's what regulated meant, and militia, that would have been, I guess, like National Guard. Yeah, really. So our founding fathers are going to, they want to write into the Constitution the Second Amendment, the Bill of Rights, freedom of speech, the most I don't know about the most important, but the extremely important clarifications that the Bill of Rights is. And they want to make sure the National Guard has firearms. The National Guard is the government. Okay, the Second Amendment was to protect us from a tyrannical government. Duh. Yeah, and then of course the next step is, and I've heard that discussed today and yesterday, some discussions about that. What do you think, going to take on the U.S. military? You know, doesn't do you any good to have an AR-15? Well, nobody's thinking about taking on the U.S. military. It's the fact that citizens can have pretty effective small arms, similar, if not exactly, same small arms that the troops have. That keeps everything in check. That keeps it from ever coming to the point where they have to be used, right? I mean, think that through a little bit too. How long were the Russians in Afghanistan? Could not defeat those pesky characters in the mountains with their bolt-action rifles and their AKs. How long have we been in Afghanistan? We can outpower anybody on the planet without any trouble, with our missiles and our firepower and everything. We can't. Vietnam, people, their AKs, their SKSs, living in holes in the jungle. And we finally just had to give up and leave. There's a lot more to it than that. So no government wants to face its people, wants its people to be rebelling. It's definitely a no-win situation, So anyway, it's a check. Our founding fathers knew that. It's definitely a check. And we don't want to be armed with just these or anything. We want something a little more effective than that. But so anyway, you sound a little bit radical when you talk about that. And I know when I was 20, 15, 25 even, and I would hear some really hardcore Second Amendment people, and I'm talking about, of course, lately that's not it doesn't sound as odd, right? Because our Second Amendment has been threatened over and over and over again, daily. So we don't think much about it. But back in the mid-'70s or so when I was getting into firearms in a bigger way, I would think, wow, man, you coming out of a bunker, the guy was acting like the government was going to take his guns like tomorrow and that kind of thing. And probably overreacting for the times, in reality. Today it's not overreacting so much. But anyway, I used to think, yeah, it's a little extreme there, dude. But, unfortunately, because of the threats, and if you study history, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. It probably will not affect me. I mean, I could be selfish and just ignore it totally. At my age, I'm very likely to be able to shoot the firearms I shoot for the rest of my life. However long that is, 10 years, 15, 20, I don't know, 50. But, you young folks need to stay active so that when you're my age, you can still enjoy the firearms that you see, John and me enjoying, and everybody else, on media, YouTube or whatever. So anyway, be active politically. Don't be fooled by the politicians. It's just really, it's so funny. They cater to the ignorant masses is really what they do. They pander. And a lot of people fall for it. That's a sad thing. Look at the voting tallies in any state, community, country, and they know what they're doing. There are just a lot of non-thinking people out there. There are a lot of people who really have no respect for individual liberty. It's just that simple. And freedom. Freedom to them is maybe just being able to go down to the Starbucks and get a cup of coffee without being molested or something. I guess that's their idea of freedom, as far as it extends, perhaps. But don't be misled. If you're young, study the actual numbers, FBI stats. You realize that more people are killed with hammers or fists than with rifles every year. That's according to the FBI. Okay, so you can look at a evil-looking AK or AR-15, and certainly it's like when an airplane comes out of the sky and 300 people are killed. It's devastating and horrific beyond description when a bunch of innocent people are shot. Yep, no doubt about it. But in terms of numbers, it's, again, so many people die, so many oddball ways, way more than with rifles of any kind in this country. So if you want to look at the total number of murders or homicides in the country, all firearms, and talk about that, look at the stats on that too. Most of them are suicides, where people will find a way, if they want to check out early. And then another giant, I think it's like almost 3/4 of them are suicides. And then I forget what the percentage is of just, oh gosh, drug related, gangbangers killing each other and that kind of stuff. Sad as it is, that's another giant percentage of it. So then you're left with, I don't know what the number is. I think we're starting out with around 30,000 a year or something. You end up with what? Y'all know the stats better than I do. 6,000 or 8,000 people that are actual murders and that kind of thing. So anyway, and no murder is, of course, desirable or whatever happens. But it's partly the price of freedom. And it's not the price that I have said many times, I'm willing to pay a price for my freedom. My clock down here, timer. I'm willing to pay a price, not just so that I can enjoy my hobby, for freedom, for the ability to protect the Second Amendment, the Constitution, as I've said many times, the AR-15, the AK, this or whatever. I mean, it's the teeth of the Second Amendment. And yeah, they're dangerous. Yeah, they're lethal. So is this firearm. So is the firearm in my pocket. Very lethal, very deadly, very deadly. If they weren't, there'd be no use. So politicians make this big case for firearms, AR-15s, being so deadly. Yeah, they are. Yep, firearms are deadly. I hate to tell you that. I heard Coleon Noir in a video recently. I need to share that one. Talk about the fact that the Virginia Tech shooter a few years back. He didn't use a rifle. He had a couple of handguns. One of them was a .22, and he killed 32 people. Before the police can get there. Things can just happen. I mean, they can go haywire in a hurry. And again, it's in a free society, that kind of thing can happen. Whether you have an AR-15 or a revolver or whatever you have. But anyway, I'll quit ranting. Just don't fall for the goofiness coming from the anti-gun far left, I'll say. Okay, and I'm not going to broad brush like Democrats or liberals or even left. But I'm talking about, whenever I talk about that kind of thing, most of the anti-gunners are far left politically. Duh. I mean, does anybody have a problem with that? Or do you know of many anti-gunners wanting gun control on the right? Okay, so it is a far left thing. It's not even a liberal thing, because I know a lot of liberals, classic liberals, are into shooting sports and enjoy firearms. We hear from you all the time, and we take pride, to tell you the truth, in the comments and messages that we get from liberals, people on the left, who thank us for our approach in our videos. Same from women, females. Yeah, women or females, right? Most of them. Well, these days you don't know, do you? But and it's nothing. It's not any kind of marketing plan. It's just John and me being ourselves. Okay, trying not to alienate any group of people. Okay, I have a low tolerance for bigotry. I'm sorry, I just do. It comes at me. It's funny. It comes to me. I think it was this morning, and usually 3 or 4 times a week I'll see a comment or a message. Usually it's a comment that somebody. Oh man, coming at me because I'm an old white guy, in the woods or guns and living in the woods. I mean, it's just like on so many different levels. They're hitting me because I'm old, because I'm white, because I live in the woods, I have guns or something. Just judging me. Whereas if whoever that person is, I don't know what color they are or what their background is, but they'd be the first to scream if I made some comment about them, because they're a millennial or they're Asian, or they're black, or they're young, or whatever. I can criticize them for, and stereotype them. So I mean, it comes with me. I'm not complaining. I mean, I can handle it, But anyway, I just have a low tolerance for that, and so if that's where you're coming from, please stay away from our channel. And there's not many. It's not many, thankfully. We have one of the most civilized, I think, audiences, except for you all out there. No, we have one of the most civilized audiences probably around. And it's partly because it's filtered out. Some of it's just filtered out. Boy, when I look at filtered comments, I skim through those sometimes. Oh my gosh! I mean, there are some sick people out there. There are some real serious haters out there. It's funny. I mean, it becomes humorous when you look through. And we just have to do that. We want kids and everybody to be able to watch our videos and read comments, and they're still going to see some things that'll make them bug-eyed, I guess. But for the most part, idiocy doesn't get through, and links and everybody. So I apologize if you make a comment and it doesn't ever show up or something, because sometimes you might use something that's just misinterpreted, and the filter pulls it out, or you put a link in it or a hashtag or some kind, because everybody's trying to advertise in our comment section. You can imagine trying to sell this and that, and so it would be just one big major advertising board, which would get very, very annoying. For everything from, you name it, gun parts to Russian women, looking for dates in this country. Oh man. So anyway, stay active, because the battle is not going to end. It's not going to end. And unfortunately, as sad as it is, again, the cost of freedom, right now, there's somebody, I've said this before, there's somebody in the country that feels like they have no hope. And I don't know, they've been told their whole lives how special they are, and they've not gotten that six-figure job they were promised. They got maybe even a college education. They didn't make them immediately successful. They didn't get some of those jobs that they thought they deserved, despite their obnoxious personality. Right? Not their fault. It's that employer just wouldn't hire them, or that hot girl that wouldn't go out with them. Couldn't imagine why. Just because they're like the ultimate dork with no personality and dressed like a 3-year-old. They can't imagine why that supermodel classmate of his or theirs wouldn't go out with them, and rejected them or something. Hey, that's just life. That's all part of life. But there's people like that right now. They're on the brink. There's somebody out there on the brink, and they may go off the deep end. You just don't know. You don't know. I mean, so it's the risk. It could happen to me. I go on record, please don't try to shoot me, but hey, if I'm sitting in a restaurant and I don't see it coming, and I get it's an AR-15. It's somebody that tries to take out everybody in that restaurant, and they get me. It's all right. You can say I told you so. If you're on the gun hating far left, you can enjoy saying, see, there you go, he was wrong. Hey, not me, not in my mind. I'm willing to pay that price for freedom. I'll take that chance, just like I'll step on an airplane knowing it could go down. I want the freedom to fly to California. As much as I don't like parts of California, or the politics, I want that freedom, and I'll take that chance. So anyway, too much ranting. All right, let me a lot of comments about my diet and the teeth, and then I'll get into some gun choices. Well, the teeth is coming along. Yeah. I really wasn't desperate to get a beautiful smile. Some people get their teeth worked on. Some people say I don't sound different. I've heard a few comments say a little different. I'm just thankful I'm able to speak and not sound crazy or something. Well, it may sound crazy, but that I'm able to enunciate fairly well with the work I've had done. And so anyway, I'm extremely happy about that. For a time, I may just never do another video. Or, I do silent, go back in time, retro gun videos, silent movies. How's with captions. Or make John do all of them instead of just occasionally one. And so anyway, it's going fine. And I didn't want to, like I was about to say, I didn't want to have better teeth so that I could smile at everybody. It really bothered me that I wasn't able to scare little kids. Because, you know, some people want to pay big money to get their teeth fixed so they can get their smile back. Not me. I wanted to be able to see little kids at Walmart, or no, not Walmart anymore, but wherever, and I could, you know, put that face on. Yeah, I mean, if you don't have any teeth, it just doesn't look as scary, right? So that's my motivation. So it's coming along, and I appreciate the comments. So many people have written and commented about how they need to get work done on their teeth, or they have, and what they've gone through. And I think I mentioned the first time I brought it up in a video was how I know that a lot of you probably go through the same thing. Well, it's not a probably. It's like, gosh, heard from hundreds of people. It's just one of those things that is so painful for everybody, and extremely for others like myself. And I found a dentist that, you know, they're good. Sedation dentistry. In fact, all the work was done under sedation. And, you know, I was willing to pay the extra and get it done in Franklin Dental Bliss. In fact, great people, and God, I'm not meaning to give them a plug, but they may not want me to give them a plug. But great folks, and, you know, understand, you know, and there's a lot of dentists like that now around the country. They'll just get in there with a drill and act like you're a baby, you know, if you experience pain, and that sort of thing. So anyway, so far I'm surviving it. It's a change, but I can live with it. You know, I paid the price, you know, for neglect for so many years. One of my favorite lines is from, it's attributed to Robert Louis Stevenson. Some controversy as to what he actually wrote or said, or if he even said it, but it's a great thought, I think. I might have used it in a Deep Woods Thought. Am I deep enough into the woods for a Deep Woods Thought? But he wrote, supposedly, eventually everybody sits down to a banquet of consequences. You know, especially appropriate for dental work. Everybody sits down to a banquet of consequences, you know, eventually. And that's for anything you do, for your actions or your inactions. As I always tried to teach John when he was young, it's not just your actions that cause consequences down the road or immediately. It's inaction, you know, and so there's consequences for everything. And it catches up with us eventually, you know, whether it's the way you treat people, the way you treat yourself, whether you neglect something, actions or inactions, you know. And so I'm paying the price. I have no right to complain about any discomfort that I have the rest of my life. You know, I mean, I could blame it on the dentist that tried to hurt me and make me cry over the years. It did make me cry, but well, I'll just try to live with it. I'll live with it, and I'm just glad that it's not worse, and that I can keep doing what I'm doing because I enjoy doing this and shooting. And then on the diet, many more questions and probably comments on that. I forget what I talked about in the last video regarding that, other than that I did lose 25 pounds. Well, I'm down to 30 pounds off now. I started out at 260, a little over. I'm at, this morning I was 228, but I'm right near 229, that area. And I think I want to get down to, still got some belly, probably 225, lower 220s, I don't know, maybe 150. But it's tough, and it's tough. If you know, and I know some people have no sympathy because I wasn't as big as a bus or anything, and there are a lot of people that are extremely overweight these days and dealing with it. But I still had to deal with the same thing that everybody has to deal with if you're trying to lose weight, and that means eat less. And that's hard to do. It's like giving up smoking, giving up shooting or something, and you know, to lose 5 pounds. You might be, I might look at you and think, wow, you must work out. You don't look like you're overweight at all. You might be a supermodel, you know, but you, for whatever reason, are dedicated to losing 5 pounds or 10 pounds or something anyway, it's just as hard. I mean, because it's a modification of behavior. Eating different portions, eating different food, and all that kind of giving up stuff you like. So it's difficult for anybody, and I really feel sorry for people that are extremely overweight, because they would have to spend even more time. Except it's really just a lifetime style change. Okay, I mean I'm old enough. I know I pontificate a little bit too much. I feel like maybe I have some wisdom, pretty funny, to offer, at my advanced age. If not, what's wrong with me? I should have had some experiences I can share that are worthwhile. So it's a lifestyle change, is what it is. Whether you are 100 pounds overweight or you're 30 pounds overweight. I mean, so it's the same lifestyle style change that you have to adapt slowly, I think, is probably the preferable way, and then stick with it and be consistent with it. So whether you, with me, I've been, since July 1st, I've been on this new lifestyle, and I really can't change or I'll gain it back. So I'm basically, this is me. This is my life now, the way I eat, pretty much. Yeah, I can't go back to eating like I did, and I don't really desire it that much anyway. You get used to anything. Except that if you're 100 pounds overweight, then it's definitely going to take longer. So it's not all that different. It's just the length of time, or really it's the rest of your life. I guess the point I'm trying to make is not a longer period of time. It's figuring out how much food it takes to maintain you at your ideal weight. Okay? And then that's it. The rest of your life. I mean, ideally. Yeah. So, as I said before, I think we all eat about at least twice as much as we need to maintain just our weight and everything. Really, I think we do. I think I'm safe. I'm not an expert, but because I eat at least half of what I used to eat, and it still took a long time. Not too bad, but weeks and weeks to get down those 30 pounds. 2-3 months. Yeah. So. That's the big secret. It's not like changing this food to that food and tons of exercise necessarily. As I said, working out helps, but it's mainly cutting down on what you eat. I've discovered that over many, many years as being most effective. So that's what you got to do. Cut out. I don't eat much bread. I eat some. I just nibble on it. I eat mainly lunch. If you missed the last Shooting the Breeze, why? I don't eat much bread, but I don't not eat bread. I just eat much less of it. Some days maybe no bread, and I do a lot of the same stuff I ate, just much less of it. I like peanut butter and crackers. At night. In fact, last night I got out some crackers instead of bread. I also love a peanut butter sandwich. Put butter on it and peanut butter and a little honey. It's one of my favorite foods. I used to eat that for breakfast and everything sometimes, or just a good snack. And then I kind of got into putting it on crackers, because I like crackers. I like it on crackers as well. And I discovered years ago that was less fattening. Get peanut butter and 2 or 3 crackers, make you a little sandwich, and tastes really good. And not that big sandwich going in, And last night, I don't do that very often now, but I did last night. And instead of using 2 crackers, I just put it on one of the crackers. And don't have a lid for it, what I'm getting at, okay? I've done the same thing, pick up like an egg biscuit, being in a fast food place. I don't eat much of that now, but I just take the top bun off and just eat, or whichever bun is thinner, and eat that with it, And then also another tip, and I didn't give you a lot of tips, I think, in that last video, now that I'm a diet expert. One thing that you can do, that I do, is I just get a real craving for something, like it may be an egg and bacon biscuit or something like that. And I thought, I shouldn't eat that. I had some yogurt for breakfast already, and well, I'll go ahead and get it maybe. And and I know it's a waste, but not really. And I'll maybe just take 2 or 3 bites out of it. Eat around the edges or something. Take 2 or 3 good bites. Oh man, that tastes good. That's good. I don't need the whole thing. And I'll throw it away. I'm sorry. You know, you got to be, I think, willing to waste a little food. Although it's not really wasting, you were going to eat it anyway. Okay, you were going to eat it. It's just that now you actually did a good thing. You took a few bites of that, yeah, and then you tossed it. You know, if you got a pet or something, you know, bring home, feed it to them, but get them fat. But you know, so that's something to think about too. Ice cream, I still eat ice cream. I just don't eat as much. I used to get 2 dips, man. That was standard. Go to Baskin Robbins, or we've got a cool place locally where I live, and 2 big dips in a cup. That's just always been my standard. Well, I cut down, you know, I don't know, it was 3, 4, 5 months ago to whenever I get ice cream, I just get 1 dip. You know, and I don't do it every day. So just those little things really help a lot. And very little bread, just occasionally. And the things you just love, like if my teeth make it hard to eat pizza, but I will eat pizza still. I just eat less, much less of it. You know, and I've already done that before I started getting my teeth worked on. I had some pizza a time or 2 or 3, maybe even under my new plan. I just ate a couple of pieces. You know, that's it. And you know, that's it. So so you can still eat a lot of stuff you ate. Just discipline yourself and don't eat as much. You know, it's a big thing. Now, one thing I didn't tell you too, and this will vary depending on your budget. One thing I did is I saw, and I was striving to get down 20 pounds, was as I saw I was going to probably maybe make it 20 pounds, I decided just for motivation, I would buy something for myself. Reward yourself, okay? Reward yourself. I bought when I got to 20 pounds, down to 20 pounds, so I was at 240, I bought a $20 gold piece. It sounds like an ad for Atmex, right, or any sponsor. That's where I bought it, I ordered it. I bought a $20 gold piece, get it, 20 pounds, $20 gold piece, okay? So, and that was kind of a motivation, knowing I was going to order that when I got down to 240, okay? And then when I saw the possibility of getting down 30 pounds, I decided, got to looking around, I was going to buy myself a gun. Something I didn't have, maybe something cool, something special that I would always keep that would remind me of that 30-pound goal that I reached. And kind of told myself, if I don't stay down that 30 pounds, I got to give it up, okay? So that might be something to work. In fact, this was it, Shiloh Sharps. You've not seen it yet, I guess. But when I got down 30 pounds, it's been a week or 2, I ordered, this is one they had in stock. I was going to maybe order one, have them build me one. And they had one I wanted actually in stock, which is rare. They don't have many in stock. I don't know where they come from. Somebody orders one and can't pay the final on it, or whatever that happens. But so you'll be seeing a video on this. Good old 4570. I didn't have a 4570 yet, right? So this is a Shiloh Sharps, and so there you go. Now, I don't know. I might stop bribing myself now, or I might. I'm thinking about another bribe. I got to decide where it is. If I'm committed to going down to 40 pounds off, down to 220, I might have to come up with another bribe for myself, or a smaller bribe at 225. I don't know, 5 pounds. I tell you, it's getting tougher now. I haven't made as much progress in the last week or 2, but I'm holding my own. I'm happy being in the 220s. That's kind of a place I would definitely want to be, in the 220s, not get out of the 220s. If I weigh one night and I'm 230, it's a uh-oh moment. I'm still down 30 pounds, but if I get up, I'm going to have to give up this gun. Give it to one of you. So you watch me. If I start looking fat, you can start calling on me to send this gun to you. So I don't know. I have to decide on it. But anyway, that might be something that would, and it doesn't have to be a something expensive. It could be anything, you know. Maybe it's an LCP Ruger. A lot of you are probably gun people. Hey, brilliant, huh? I figured that out. So, you know, just tell yourself, if you are trying to lose weight, you have a goal like that. It could be some other issue you're trying to quit smoking or whatever. Maybe you do something like that. You know, if you're there's always a gun out there. That next gun we're all looking for, right? Well, just tell yourself, hey, you know what? I've been meaning to go on a diet or start losing weight, and if I can get 10 pounds off, I'm going to buy that gun and not before or something. You know, it's kind of cool. You start getting your money together for it as you start losing weight or something. And again, it's not really a diet. It's just I've changed my diet. I'm just eating better. Okay, eating less is the big thing. So anyway, a lot of questions about it, and you know, about tricks, and that's it. I bribe myself, I trick myself, and I eat less, and as you get into it, it's easier. Like I've had lunch today already, and it's early afternoon. But I probably not going to eat anything the rest of the day. You know, maybe a little bitty snack or something. And you know, that's just the way I do it now. Anyway, questions about that, I'll let you know. What else? Look at that. I am almost at an hour. Is that amazing or what? Yeah. Speaking of this too, again, I think I've talked about it. We really think it's cool to have a sponsor that. You know, precious metals sponsor. You know, APMEX is pretty cool. You know, we thank our sponsors in videos, and we're glad and happy that you all understand. And just occasionally you get a comment, but it's rare. People sort of understand now that Google is just not paying much anymore. And if you are trying to have a business at all as part of what you're doing on YouTube, you got to figure out some other avenues, really, as you notice people have. And we have sponsors that do not conflict with what we do, never have conflicted. Even the NRA, they didn't really conflict because we would have to be a gun rights organization reviewer for that to be a conflict, okay? So people use that word sellout, shill, and all that stuff in such a bizarre new definition, you see, because that's the only way. If you're keeping something a secret from people, like if I do a bunch of videos with this gun, for example, and brag on it, tell you how much I love it, do videos with it, and I don't tell you that Shiloh Sharps is a sponsor secretly. They're a sponsor. Whoa. And I've spent video after video showing how accurate this rifle is and how much I love it and what a great rifle it is. That's a sellout or a shill or whatever you want to talk about it. So anyway, as I said, I don't really need to talk about it because those are haters, anyway, that say that kind of stuff, envious, jealous haters. But there's a level of education apparently that's needed out there for some few new people. So in other words, the word sellout, you mean, you mean in other words having a sponsor, is a sellout? There's a lot of people in the movies that need to know that. Does George Clooney or Tom Selleck realize they're sellouts? Because whenever I watch their movies on TV, there's a commercial for Chevrolet. They're a freaking sellout to Chevrolet, whatever. The thing that makes it a little different with YouTube videos is we're actually talking about products and reviewing products, some of us. And so you have to be sure that you're not, stepping into that thing, or being paid to review a firearm, or you're getting something free and you're not making your viewers aware of it, and that kind of thing. So, but y'all get that. And so we just think it's so cool and fortunate that we're so lucky that we've been able to work with the companies we work with and bring them on board, and not, because there's no conflict with them, and it's really cool. And of course, APMEX, the American Precious Metals Exchange. And some people might think that's a little odd. Well, what's that got to do with shooting? Well, nothing. Doesn't matter. I'm looking at my Kawasaki mule right there. If Kawasaki had called and said, we'd like to sponsor, your show, I probably would say, yeah, I guess so. We don't review four-wheelers, or something. Yeah. We can't brag on how your four-wheeler's better than everybody else's, or that's kind of reviewing, But, so you know what I'm saying? So anyway, because you really, how do you get help from gun companies? Because the very thing we do the most of, we can't take help from them. So anyway, it's bizarre, the world we live in, and where so many people don't have a good grasp of reality, it appears sometimes. But anyway, back to APMEX, it's cool having precious metal, because there is a lot of overlap. I think I talked about in earlier Shooting the Breeze how at the NRA meeting, there's a precious metals dealer. In fact, I bought some stuff from them one year. They're one of the busiest booths there. And people who are into firearms and like firearms generally kind of like that stuff, like coins, gold coins or silver coins, and whether you buy them or not, it's just, I don't know, it just kind of goes hand in hand. You have that antique nature too, with old silver dollars or something, or coins, and something that's real, like a firearm, something you hold in your hand that's real. It works, and kind of like going back to an old silver coin or gold coin. It's something that was of value, and still is, of course, and holds its value to a pretty good extent, and it's just appealing to shooters. So we thought it was pretty cool. Now, I'm not giving investing advice. I'm not an expert. I don't want to get into it too deeply, but the fact that we are sponsored by a precious metals dealer, from that you should not infer that we are giving investment advice necessarily. Okay, I don't know if you knew this. You see all this crazy stuff online and TV commercials about how the only way you're going to have any money or any investments that work for you if you buy just tons of silver or gold and all that kind of thing. Well, the reality of all that is this is just me talking. Silver and gold coins just hold their value. They don't necessarily skyrocket and make you rich. Okay, if you see these videos titled like "Gold at 10,000," or "Silver at $100 an ounce," they're trying to, hey, imagine that, clickbait. They're trying to sell books and sell videos and get you to watch and sell gold and sell silver and everything. You don't want silver to be $100 an ounce. You don't want gold to be 10,000 an ounce, even if you got some. All that means is the economy is really, really in bad shape, and your dollar bill is totally worthless at that point. I mean, that just means unemployment has probably gone crazy, and the economy is really shot. Okay, you don't want that to happen, So, because those things, for those who don't know, precious metals like silver, gold, for example, if I had a couple of dimes in 1975, 70, early 70s, I could buy a gallon of gas, okay? About 20 cents is what it was. I remember when I was in college, 23 cents or something. So a couple of dimes roughly buy a gallon of gas. Now, 2 dimes today, 2 modern dimes, for example, the sandwich coins made out of whatever the heck they're made of, that's not going to buy much gas, is it? Okay, but if you have a couple of silver dimes, all right, which you can buy, at APMEX and anywhere online at coin shops, you can buy silver dimes. Not rare dimes. I'm just talking about any old plain date. Those 2 dimes, just their silver content, would probably buy you about a gallon of gas today. Okay, so precious metals like that, they mainly just hold their value against inflation, deflation, or whatever goes on. And that's the appeal to people, a lot of the gun community, or even the survivalist community, or just people in general. They're not planning on getting rich because they bought some gold coins or silver coins. It's just a store of value, as it's called quite often. And it is a kind of a safe haven. There are even some investments investor advisors. Some don't. Some hate it, for sure. Even big names like Dave Ramsey and others, they'll say don't buy any gold or any silver, But then a lot of them will advise if you're going to buy it, or nothing wrong with buying like 10% of your net worth in it, or 5% or 15, that kind of thing, just as a hedge, it's just as a safe haven, because no matter what happens with the economy, or your paper money, or your money in the bank, whatever, that gold or silver it will not change. Okay, it will still be the same value, relatively speaking. Okay, so anyway, I don't know that tells you anything. Again, I'm not an investment advisor, not giving advice. It's just that it is a store of wealth. It's a kind of a safe haven, and it can be cool. It's really cool. Gold, silver have always, almost forever been considered of value, and again, a lot of us gun people have an interest in it, and so we thought it was kind of a natural. But I just wanted to point out that there's so much stupid stuff in the media about getting rich through buying silver or buying gold, and that is probably not going to happen. All right. In fact, you don't want that to happen, because that's going to mean the economy is shot. If you get to see those astronomical, crazy numbers that you see people leading with to get attention and all that kind of thing. It's just a very safe store of wealth, and it's very, very cool. Okay. And on short term, sometimes it's you might buy a gold coin today, and then in 6 months gold's up $200, and yeah, you might make a little money on it. Or you might buy it today, and in a few months it's down $200. And, but it's not the kind of thing you buy and speculate on, really. I don't think so. But it's just so cool, and it is a safe haven. Is what it amounts to. So I remember years ago, I was reading a book back in the 80s, talking about a $20 gold piece in like 1860 or whatever would buy a decent horse. Okay. And then today, the same thing. $20 gold piece would buy a decent horse. Now, I don't know how accurate that is and what kind of horse it would be, but by and large, it's just a store of wealth that doesn't change. Whatever inflation does, it kind of stays where it is. Whereas, like if you have mutual funds, you have your 401k, 403bs, and all those sorts of things, now they actually grow over time. Now, you could argue that based on inflation and everything, but you're going to get more growth generally out of that. At least historically, we have, probably. So, but there's people who argue all those sides of that. But anyway, I just wanted to just qualify that and let you know that we're not advising you in investments. Okay, it's just cool, and places like APMEX, and there's others. And I contacted 2 or 3 of the others, and APMEX, came through more quickly with wanting to work with us, and but they have all these cool things in jewelry, and the bullets, and old coins, new coins, bullion coins of all kinds, and there's just something really cool. I've never been into jewelry, ironically, but there's just something cool about a coin. I've always liked like old coins, silver coins mainly. I could not really afford gold coins very much, but silver coins, because they're dated, they're kind of like the ultimate antique in a lot of ways. I'm not selling you on. I'm not trying to make a long pitch here on APMEX or something. Sorry, it's kind of it's an interesting topic. I'm sorry if it seems that way, but I've always liked silver dollars, for example. In fact, I had 200 or 300 of them at one point. I had accumulated over a period of time, all dates, and they weren't like any of them, I don't think, of high value necessarily. They were kind of common condition and common dates for the most part. But I just always have liked them, probably because they were the dollars that were exchanged in the Old West and everything. I had around 300 of them, and I ended up selling them about 20 years ago. I don't know if it was a gun I wanted, or I was still teaching at the time, so I could always use the money, but I sold them on eBay. And I've got a few, but I've just always liked them. They're, again, the ultimate antique. They've got the date on them. It's not like an old vase. Someone tells you that, those were common back in the 1850s or something, and that's true, but most of the time there's not an actual date on a lot of antiques, whereas coin antiques. They've got the date right on them, and they're silver. They're made of real material that has value aside from just numismatic value and that kind of thing. And so I don't know. They just always thought they were kind of cool. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. What else did I want to talk about? One thing I was thinking about doing is, and maybe you have some advice. I don't know. And John and I've talked about. I've brought it up a few times. John has 2 or 3 channels, on YouTube and Facebook, and I almost can't keep up with all. And I've thought about at times having an alternative channel or just a second channel, like a lot of people do, but we don't have one. Yeah, and something like something that if I wanted to do a video on like anything other than firearms, it would just be for that. Okay, I don't know, like a Hickok 45 unplugged or something, or a Hickok 45 Plus or something, like a Demo Ranch or something like Off the Ranch. A lot of people have an alternative or a different channel or 2 or 3 or 4 channels. But I was thinking about something like that, maybe like Hickok 45 Plus or something, and then everything that's not necessarily involving firearms, maybe just the history of this and that, or I don't know, read a poem, discuss a poem, whatever the heck I want to do, and then maybe take suggestions, from you all too. Maybe it would lead to less shooting the breeze too. I could even put these over there, or I could leave these on the regular channel. I don't know, but anyway, just thinking about it. If you have any ideas or suggestions or things, if maybe a name for the channel, or ideas of things you would like to see if I did that. Yeah, things you would not like to see, or just whatever. So some of it just be totally different, not affect what we do on the main channel at all. But other than, because one thing we've tried to, even though we do some goofy things occasionally, and we make no apologies for that, like Deep Woods Thoughts or even these, and on the main channel. This still comes up pretty often. I'll think of something that'd be cool. I might do a video on that, but that'd be a little much for. I don't want to clutter up our main channel. It's mostly firearms. With 4 out of 5 videos. Something what? How you trim a tree? What? How you top a tree? Or how you plow a field? There's a bunch of stuff like that. But some things that people might find interesting. I don't know. But anyway, think about it. And also it would be kind of a selfish thing. Just stuff I would like to do. Whether videos would get 20 views or 2 million, it wouldn't matter. And kind of the attitude we have here, we don't do much clickbait. We do things that we think you would like to see and that we know we'd like to do, but everything we do doesn't get 1 million views, and we do it anyway, right? Like this. So anyway, just maybe your thoughts on that. All right, so now I can tell I am an hour away. So last thing I was going to talk about a little bit on gun choices, because it's maybe something useful. It's a tough time right now because there are so many new firearms coming out. So it's a good time. And I know a lot of you are new, and based on the questions I get, oh my gosh, how many times do I see a question on YouTube comments or Facebook about which gun would be better, which gun should I get, and maybe a list of 3 or 4 guns. Pistols usually, not always. And it's just impossible for me to tell you which gun is better, which one's better for you, which one to get. I might have my preference, but it really just depends on you, as you know, as I've gone over many times, how you're going to carry it. How much experience do you have? What kind of holster are you going to use? Is it even for carry? I need to ask you about 20 questions and it'd be a long, drawn-out affair before I could give anybody advice on that, really. And then, but there's just better guns. There's always some new, cool guns coming out, and especially carry guns. Like the SIG P365 and then the XL version of it. And you get the Glock 43. And then the 43X, the 48, and there's always another firearm that fits another niche that is highly impressive to people. And now there's the Springfield Armory Hellcat coming out. I've already been hearing about. We'll have one to look at when they're out. And there's somebody coming out with magazines for the Glock 43X and 48 that will hold 15 rounds supposedly and be a flush-fitting magazine. So the technology, the race to create the ultimate carry gun, it's strong, and it's great. Hey, it's hard to beat free enterprise system, and the competition, it creates some of the greatest products. But point I was going to make on all of that is don't get too caught up in all of that, because what's better for you, of course, is not better for me maybe, and it's so much based on your experience. And then also, it doesn't even matter as much as we think it does, really. What matters most, and I'll give you my advice, what matters most is you practicing and being comfortable with whatever firearm you carry or you have for home defense, being really, really knowledgeable about it, and being able to shoot it pretty well, being able to handle it under stress. All of that is more important than whether it holds 10 rounds or 12 rounds or 15 rounds, whether it's a 40 or a 45 or a 9, whether it weighs 20 ounces or 22 ounces, whether it has another wrench on the barrel. Those things can matter, but they don't matter as much as your experience and how you can handle a firearm. Okay? Just keep that in mind. It's very, very unlikely you're going to have to ever pull it on anybody, and even much less likely you're ever going to have to fire it in defense. It's so remote, but you never know. So just don't get so hung up on that you feel like you're unarmed because you've got an 8-shot pistol. Oh my gosh, now they got the same gun or the same size or one like it that holds 10 or it holds 15 or it holds 12, or it's in a bigger caliber. I feel bad about having a 380 or a 9 or whatever the situation might be. I think you just want to shoot that firearm and make sure it's reliable with whatever ammo you're going to use, okay? And make sure, in the dark or not in your sleep, but that you can manipulate it and operate the safety, and you're not going to panic about how to get the safety off or anything like that. Or if it's a revolver, how to load it, and that's probably not going to be an issue. Again, even having to pull it, even having to fire it is so unlikely, and then having to reload and fire some more, what is that situation going to be? Where are you going to be as a civilian that's going to happen? It could, obviously, we carry spare tires and fire extinguishers and firearms for the unexpected. By definition, it's all unexpected. But still, just think about those things and try not to get too hung up on all that. Get a gun that works, 100% reliable with your ammo, and that you shoot well. And that you like. It fits the way you carry it. And don't worry about it. It's us guys that are worse at that than anybody probably. But try to be satisfied with what you have if it works. Jeff Cooper said, beware the man with one gun, and that would apply to women too, or in between. Beware the person, how's that, with one gun. He probably knows how to shoot it. Okay? And there's so much truth in that. So I'll leave you with that, and I'll try not to get off any wild tangents, because I've already gone an hour, I think. And it's only been 3 weeks, I believe, since I did one of these, and I thought, well, I'll go ahead and talk to our favorite viewers, and maybe I won't need an hour, but you know me. So again, this is a Shiloh Sharps. This is my reward for losing 30 pounds. And I will keep that in mind every time I shoot it. And I think I brought it. Yeah, oh yeah, a little show and tell here. Look at that, 4570. Is that a beautiful thing or what? 500 grain bullet. Okay, 500 grains of lead, and whole single shot. This is the firearm. Just slides right in there. Not going to fire it or cock it. Those of you who are familiar, I had 1874 Sharps, which is what this is, the 1874 Sharps, made by Shiloh Sharps in Big Timber, Montana. I mean, if you're making Sharps rifles, is there a better place to build them? Big Timber, Montana. That's great. They started out in New York, but moved out there. But they made the rifle for Tom Selleck and Quigley Down Under, the movie. Okay, that's what this is. That's what the one he uses, an 1874 Sharps. Now they come in all different variations. He's got a kind of a, I don't know, brushed aluminum or pewter or silver or whatever, a receiver, I think with engraving, and then the tank sight and everything. And I had one of these before we started doing videos. It was a longer barrel, and I just didn't get it out and shoot it much. I ended up trading it, selling it to buy something else. I really did, because it had a really long barrel, had the tank sight, and it was just best suited for just putting on a bench and shooting. And I swear, I could, there's so many guns I have, I could hit just as well with it at long range, at least at 230 yards. And a neat gun, but I don't know, I just didn't shoot it as much. And ever since I let it go, I've kind of missed it. And I thought, you know, if I ever could find one I like, the right price or whatever, you got to order them. It takes years to get them from Shiloh Sharps, because I see them at the NRA meeting, and I think SHOT Show too they set up. I see them and I fondle them every year, but just knowing it's going to take years to get one, I just never had put in an order. But I always thought, since I sold the other one, that I would enjoy one of these more if I could just get one. I know they're like the ultimate for really, really long range with the tank sight and all that, vernier sight and long barrel. I would enjoy one that's just a little bit shorter barrel and without the tank sight, that I can just pick up and plink with, and even moderate ranges, and just be handier. Now this has got a hefty barrel, so it's pretty heavy, but and you know, they had this one in stock. It's called the Montana Rough Rider. Okay, that's the format of this 1874, and so anyway, I got a Shiloh Sharps back, thanks to my diet, right? And I'm really happy to have one back. You'll be seeing it, no doubt. We have that one from Lyman, the 78, and that was kind of a hybrid, more of an English version of the 1877, I think, Sharps. And because the Lyman sight came out in 1878, I think they called it in 1878. I talked about that in the video, and they'd given that to us years ago, and I'm donating that to the Tennessee Firearms Association event for their auction this week, in fact, this Saturday. So that was another motivation, letting that one go. And I really miss having an actual 1874 Sharps, and now I've got one. So there you go. Pays to lose weight, doesn't it? But anyway, a little more about that rifle, and such a special fire. Ooh, a FUD gun. Yeah, FUD gun, right? Yeah, it won't fire semi-automatic, so it's a FUD gun. I love it when I see a FUD comment on various firearms that we might review, because for some people, unfortunately, here I go again. For some people, if it's not a black rifle or a polymer pistol, they put it in this category of FUD gun, or old man gun or something, I guess, you know, even a Mauser, a bolt gun or whatever. And that's really sad. That's really sad, you know, I mean, and in my mind, you'd almost have to be of a kind of a mall ninja mindset, really, to think that way, because the actual, I don't know, I will say the coolest firearms, you know, I love the new guns. I got a lot of them, and I really like them. The 6.8 I've got, LWRC, and my ARs, I really like them. But there's just something cooler about the historical guns. I'm sorry. Yeah, there really is. There's so much history, with the K98, the Mauser, or the G98, the old Autry Springfield, the Carag carbines, the Sharps, the 1873 Colt Single Action Army. I mean, we could name them all day, couldn't we? The Navy Colt, percussion revolver, the Walker Colt. You could name them all day. They're just special. And I mean, try not to grow up and be a mall ninja. It's okay if you're 13. You can enjoy being a mall ninja for a while. You can just ignore anything other than black rifles and throwing stars. That's okay. You're young. When you get into your 20s, you're able to buy guns and maybe enjoy the hobby. Please branch out a little bit and develop an appreciation for all aspects of the sport. There's some areas I don't really delve into much. I don't do any real sports shotgunning or hunting, or I've done some clay shooting, just enough to get an over and under shotgun years ago. I've got to deserve it, a Browning. Satori, I'll do that once every 5 years, so I don't really deserve the gun. But I know enough about it that I appreciate the sport, how much fun it is, and I see why people are just eating up with it like golf, and they do that, and maybe no other kind of shooting. Same with bench rest shooting. I see the appeal, why that's cool. Even the long range shooting with these, black powder cartridge shooting, that's a big sport in game. There are people who do nothing really, almost, but take these rifles and shoot out to 1,000 yards, black powder cartridges like that one in my pocket, and knock down silhouettes with it. And it's a big sport, big game, and it's a lot of fun. It's tough. It's almost a science experiment. Getting the perfect load and the consistency, the perfect trigger let off, and of course you're lying down or you're in different positions, rested, and shooting that thing, and then hearing that clink way out there at 800 yards or 1,000 yards. But it's really a kind of a pressure ridden kind of a game, and it's just, I wouldn't mind trying it sometime maybe, but it's nothing I would get into in a big way. But I can appreciate that sport, and I understand why people really get into it, and I can appreciate it. I don't call them fuds, or I don't call them idiots, because I don't do it. Well, I'm banging around with my Glock, or my M&P or something, or my Walther or HK. So let's not be, here's the moral to that story. Let's not be gun bigots, okay? Let's not be bigots in any way. I think we don't, to pontificate a little more, I think we tend to think of other people as being bigots, and we want to try to make sure that we are not guilty of bigotry. I know, using the term bigotry and associating with the guns, I'm being facetious, because there's serious bigotry out there that actually can affect people's lives and maybe even their safety. I don't mean to belittle that term, but in a way, whatever it is, if we are convinced we're better than other people, we're smarter than other people because we like this, or we don't like this, or we do something this way, or because of my skin color, or because of my age, I'm better than other people, or because of my education or my lack of education, or where I live, or my nationality, or who I vote for, whatever it is. If I am just really convinced to the core I'm better than you because of that, that's not good. I might think I'm more enlightened, perhaps, or that I'm making better decisions. Yeah, obviously we think that, I guess, or we wouldn't do it. We're fond of our philosophies and our religion and our politics, and we think we're on a better track maybe for reality. I'll admit that, but I don't really entertain the notion that I am a better person than somebody who is just like an anti-gunner. Okay, I just would say they're a little misled by the media. They're misled their family. They come up with a different background than I do, and they just, I would say they're not seeing the big picture maybe as clearly as I think I see it. Okay. But I don't really think I'm a better person than they are, because of that. I would like to help show them the light and enlighten them, right? But anyway, enough pontificating. I'm sorry I rambled again so long. I don't know how you're going to stop me. There's got to be a way. Got to be a way. Maybe a time limit. Maybe something hanging from the limb up there in that tree that after 30 minutes it's going to fall on my head. An anvil, just like Roadrunner. An anvil with a 30-minute timer on it. And if I'm not up out of this chair, this stool, it's smash Hickok time. Okay, so we'll rig up something like that, give you a break. So appreciate you all watching, and hopefully something I said made sense. Again, I didn't mean to. I didn't want to turn it into a sales job, for our sponsor, like AppMex. We're happy to have them on board. But I did want to talk a little bit about precious metals. This is something I hadn't talked about a lot, or at all, maybe. It's a cool thing. It's one reason I wrote them, and was interested in seeing if they'd be interested in being a sponsor. It'd just be cool, because I like that stuff. So, but anyway, we'll give you a little more information on that. Okay, I am not an investment advisor, nah, but that's another reason I might think about another channel. There's some other things I could talk about like that are totally unrelated from firearms. Yeah, never know. So anyway, glad you came out to the woods today, and hope you get a chance to shoot, something. As I've said before, if not, maybe you can at least get one of your favorite firearms out, fondle it a little bit safely, maybe clean it. Think of one that you have. Those of you who have several firearms, I'll bet you have one at least that you took to the range a couple of weeks ago and you either didn't clean it or you just did a quick clean job on it. You were busy or in a hurry or whatever. You probably have at least one firearm that would really appreciate you taking it out, putting it on a table with plenty of time, no rush, disassemble it, and give it that white glove treatment, especially if it's a carry gun. If it's a defensive firearm, you really want to do that occasionally, I think. If it's a semi-automatic, take that slide apart, as I have recommended in the past. I carried a Glock 23 for a lot of years and did never take the slide apart for the first, probably 5 or 6 years I had it. I took it apart one day, and wow, there were a lot of brass pieces and grit in the firing pin channel, a lot of it, and a little grease in there combined with all that stuff. And, I mean, it could have hung up on me the way it was, or it could have blocked the firing pin, the striker. Could have had a bad outcome there at the wrong time. So. Especially on a carry gun or a defensive pistol, or a competition gun, whatever. Just get that slide apart occasionally. You don't do it all that often, unless you're pouring oil in it. You want to keep the oil out of there, right? So anyway, clean one of your guns. Be a really good friend to it, today or tonight or tomorrow. If you can't get out and shoot it. So. I'll shut up and let you go. It's been good to talk to you. We appreciate your support, and we really appreciate you supporting the people that support us and letting them know. I hear that quite often, and so y'all are good folks for the most part. Life is good.
Hey, I don't have a lot of time, but I've got to tell you about the people who support us. BudsGunShop.com. They have a great selection of firearms. Check them out. Federal Premium. They keep us in ammo for all of our videos. Thank you to them. SDI, the Sonoran Desert Institute. You can get certified in gunsmithing online. Check them out, sdi.edu. Appmex.com. You can get invested in precious metals. They have new, old coins, gold, silver, copper, everything you can think of. TalonGunGrips.com. We also appreciate them. You can get grips for your handguns and rifles. Go to TalonGunGrips.com. All right, thank you.